Alright everyone, hello and welcome to a brand new vlog. This week's vlog, I'm still not sure what I'm going to focus on for this particular week, but I have one thing I do want to talk about first. So before I get into any more details, let's roll the intro. One of the things that comes with online exams where you need to have it proctored is needing to have a secondary device to be able to do that. In some situations where they really want to lock down your ability to access anything but what you need to, they'll enable a function called lockdown browser. So I am not 100% convinced that this is going to work the way they want it to in lockdown browser, but I think if for anything else, I think actually this situation might actually be the best answer. Check out the short video that I made for Sunday this last week and you'll kind of get an idea of what I was doing. We need to be able to show our entire space. So like all of our space as well as our face as well. So in order to do that, you have to get your device at a very particular angle. Over here, I still have it set up. Now, for the last about almost 2 years since I've been in the program, they've just gotten us to use like a phone or an iPad or something, and then we log in to Zoom on that device, and then that becomes our camera. The thing is a lot of us have been complaining that the phone, and I'm not really sure about the iPad. I've heard the iPad is a little bit better, but most of us have phones, and to say like you need to get an iPad as well on top of everything else is just a little bit ridiculous in my opinion. But not to mention you would need to have like an iPad tripod mount and all of that. For the most part, like people have figured out a way to make their phones work. The only issue with having the phone is that it's very small, and if we ever have a clarification question or a question that, they could technically answer during an exam or one of these activities, it's very difficult to do that because on the phone, or at least on the iPhone like I have, you have to have your device in this direction, so in landscape mode. But to chat, you have to rotate it because otherwise you're reading it sideways. I don't know about anybody else. I cannot read text sideways. It does not go very well. A lot of us have been complaining ever since we've had to use a secondary camera for some of these other activities that are open book, but they still want to see our space, is that it's very difficult to chat the instructors. I know that when we first started the program, they recommended having an external camera so that if the instructors ever needed to see anything like that was not at eye level, that you could just pull it off and bring it down. And actually it's been great because ever since I've started using my Mac to show for my Zoom, and then having my laptop, my PC laptop that's connected to my second screen be basically 3 screens, there's been a few times where they've wanted to see my screen, but there's no way for me to show my screen from my Zoom on my Mac to my laptop except for using my external webcam, because all I do is I rotate it, and they can't tell that I've actually got another device going because it's outside. Because of the way my setup is here, this is actually lifted above, and unless I have it at a very particular viewing angle, you can't actually see the top of the laptop even when it's open. And I did that because I had my Zoom crash on my computer the one day after it updated, and it wouldn't open. So I'm like, you know what, I've got another device, I'm just gonna set it up. And then I got used to having 3 screens, and I'm like, well, I'm not gonna buy an external monitor now. I actually think the other suggestion I'm gonna make to them is 2 screens if they're going to have us do things like labs this way from now on, they're going to have to have it so that people have 3 screens, especially if you're using Kroll, because Kroll takes up a full screen, and I've shown that before in the past that it takes up an entire full screen. 2 screens is not enough, especially when you're trying to manage being on Zoom at the same time. Now, the amount of times that theoretically I've had a chat during an exam is so few that this is actually a bigger hassle to set up, in my opinion. But for something like a lab, where you might be in a breakout room or, needing to have it so that you can see a possible prescription to be able to fill it, this is actually a really good solution to that issue. And like, I don't know if I've already mentioned this, but I'm just going to say it just so that I don't forget to add it in. But they did recommend us having an external web camera from the very start. That's why I bought one. Because I had to move my setup a little bit for this, I decided that I would mark it on the floor. I put down the leg 1, leg 2, leg 3 on the floor. I'm not going to show all of them because it's kind of a mess. So the only thing that's kind of frustrating about this whole situation is we're basically like a month away from not even having to use this kind of stuff to do exams, because once we're done with the online stuff, online exams will be done. So it's kind of frustrating that they're wanting to try this at this point. I could see maybe wanting to do it with the first years, or even, I think it's more that they're wanting to try to see if it'll work, and then that way they can have it as a requirement for next year. But it's just frustrating. This is like, why do I gotta to go through all of this to set it up when I'm like only gonna be doing this for another month, and then I'll get to be in person and things will be all better, because then you can just watch me in person, basically. But anyways, that's enough of my ranting. Alright, hello everyone, happy Thursday. So just finished another really long day. This week has had some really, really long days. Tuesday was quite long, but it was even longer because a couple of the assignments that we were doing took a while. And it was quite intense, actually, because it was something we had never really done before, so it was really challenging. And then yesterday was a full till 4 o'clock. Today was a full day well, was supposed to be till 4 o'clock, but we finished quite a bit earlier than that. We just had to do a quiz. And the quiz, I think, was only like 10 minutes, maybe 5-10 minutes. I did do a short video yesterday, so search for the short from January 21st, an update on my math exam. Long story short, I did quite well. I wish I would have done a little bit better, but I feel like I'm not exactly sure if it was like rounding or how I was setting it up or all of that. So I haven't quite figured out exactly what happened. I might go through the papers that I have and just look at them, but yeah, not 100% sure. Quite intense this week for assignments, and with having a math quiz, it's always intense because you're trying to study for that as well. Tomorrow's actually a day off from classes. I will probably be doing work all day. I've got an entire list of things I need to get done on my assignment tracker. I don't think it'll be too bad to actually go through it and get everything done. I would also like to take a little bit of a break just to try and recover for next week. The only thing that scares me with this whole situation is just, if I'm this tired with being online, I'm a little bit scared for how my body's going to tolerate the in-person. I feel like looking at the schedule for the in-person stuff is just so intimidating. We'll do the best we can, I guess, and just take it one day at a time like everything else. I just have a feeling it's going to be a lot of watching videos and all of that. Just refreshing from now what all needs to be done. The other thing is looking at the calendar now is just kind of crazy. I've got about a month until I actually move for the in-person stuff. It's about a month and a week, though, for actually starting. What do I have here on my midterm 2? 39 days until our first day in person, so just over a month. I'm sorry if I look a little bit rough today. I didn't want to change out of pajamas because it's currently like minus 42 with the wind chill outside. So if you notice I'm wearing pajamas and I look comfortable, it's because I want to feel warm and comfortable. As promised, I wanted to just show what I ended up doing because I have to have two different tripods for my two different types of like closed book exams. For anything that doesn't require the lockdown browser, I use this tripod. And for anything that does, I've got my usual phone holder. For most things, I can use this one. And this one actually is nice because I can still use my Mac for my Zoom device. And it's actually long enough, like this cord for the camera is so long that it's can reach all the way across even from this side. So that's actually really nice. Only about a month left until I will no longer be in this room because everything will be in person. I'm glad that we got that suggestion just because it is fairly easy to work with. Most things don't use lockdown browser, at least right now, so it's not that big of a deal to switch back and forth. I did actually put like little notes on the floor for my one camera, but you kind of do have to adjust it too. Thanks for joining me for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll get into some more exciting stuff soon with regards to school and all of that. It's kind of exciting that it's more than just like studying and exams, actually. Like it's not only learning the stuff, but actually physically applying it. Anyways, thanks for joining me, and I hope to catch you again in the next one. Bye, everyone.